this second story, we'll start here on Logos Beta, and then we'll go to Logos Alpha afterwards as we have time. I'm sure we'll get through this now, but I just want to start here. So this is adapted from John chapter 6. What's going on in John chapter 6, if anyone remembers? There's one of the instances of Jesus feeding a multitude, and he feeds this multitude, and the next day he finds them still following him around, and he then says to them, I gave you food to eat, but that's not the food that's going to sustain you. I am the bread of life. This is that bread of life discourse that many people want to look to and say it's a Eucharistic passage. May or may not be, depending on how you interpret it. But that's what's happening in this retelling. So this is extremely simplified from John chapter 6. All the same vocabulary that you're going to see in John chapter 6, but it's simplified just to be present, active, indicative, not any of the other nuances. So presented to you as you can read it now. Did anybody get this far all the way through Logos Beta in your private studies? So let's walk through it together, and if anyone wants to volunteer, I'd be more than happy, but I can go ahead and read it myself as well. So let's just read this first verse, verse 5, or line 5, excuse me. Ha Jesus ha ento ploio didaske tus aklus. So let's stop there. What's going on here where we read ha Jesus ha ento ploio? Who can sort of parse that sentence a little bit, take that apart? Explain to me what's happening. Ha Jesus ha ento ploio. Yeah, Jesus who is in the boat. Because remember how adjectives work. We say the cup, the green one, means the green cup. And we're seeing this prepositional phrase, ento ploio, which means what? In the boat. We're seeing that prepositional phrase being used adjectively. So if this were an adjective, which it's not, but if this were an adjective, the adjective would be entoploio, describing Jesus. So it's ha Jesus, ha entoploio. Jesus, the one in the boat Jesus, as if there's multiple Jesuses, or we can just read this as Jesus in the boat, or while Jesus was in the boat, or Jesus who is in the boat. All of those would be, to varying degrees, accurate translations. So I personally, as I'm reading this, I would translate it as while Jesus was in the boat, but you could say Jesus in the boat. Either way works. So ha Jesus ha entoploio didaske tus oklus. Teaches the crowd, yeah. Tus peri tain thalason. Right, so about might work, but let's shy away from that because about has sort of an abstract, around. Not concerning. So here's why. Because we have Jesus, Jesus who is in the boat teaches the crowd, the around the sea ones, the crowd who is around the sea. So it's a spatial sense. The crowd who is gathering around the sea. Peri to R2. Yeah.
Crowd, isn't that crowds plural?
It is, yeah, but it's in the same way when you read heaven. Typically, it's plural, and not always, but many times when you're reading heaven in Greek, it'll say the heavens, but we'll typically refer to there's just one heaven, but we'll call it the heavens. Same thing here. Yeah, we can say the crowds, but you can understand it as one massive group of people. Yeah,
that confuses me when you get literary license to drop the S.
Yeah, well, it all depends. Yeah, I mean, I addressed the crowds. Well, yes. Should the image in your head be multiple groups of people, or is it just a massive people? Yeah. So that's a good point. For the sake of learning what the text says and reading the Greek, we should say the crowds. Yeah, that would be a more literal sense. But if you say the crowd, it has the same meaning. Yeah. So Jesus, who is in the boat, teaches the crowds, the ones around the lake, or the ones around the sea, or the crowds around the sea, concerning, peri tu artu ektu oranu, concerning the bread from heaven, the from the heaven bread. Yeah. So that's a good observation here. We have peri tain thalasan. So it is, since this is accusative, peri is saying around the sea. Peri tu artu, concerning the bread. Ektu uranu, the bread from heaven. Cool. Any questions there? All right, who wants
the bread out?
from heaven? Yeah. I mean, you could say the bread out of heaven, but yeah, the bread from heaven. Yeah. Lege autois ha Jesus. What does that mean? Lege autois ha Jesus. Yeah, and Jesus says to them. Now, why is it Jesus says to them and not and they say to Jesus? Yeah, you got a couple hints here. So, what's the ending to lege? Third person singular. So we know it's a singular person who's saying it. So there's your first hint. Lege is one person saying it. Autois, what's the ending here? Plural accusative, right? Oi, on, ois, us. Plural dative. A non-genitive dative accusative, oi, on, ois, us. So to them, plural. And this is one of those personal pronouns that we have, them. So a singular to them, ha Jesus. So Jesus, and this is in the nominative ending, for this proper name, Jesus. And how do I know? Like, that doesn't look nominative to me. Well, remember, the definite article never lies. The definite article is your best friend. It will always tell you the truth. Ha Jesus is in the nominative, and you know that because of the ha. So Jesus says to them, and then now we're entering into the dialogue. Who wants to give a stab at this whole sentence here, just reading it out loud? All right, go for it.
Close to Deu, estin ectum uranu, kai doron estinto cosmo apod de Theu.
Perfect. Excellent. Do you want to try a translation?
The bread of God
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah, from heaven or out of heaven. Yeah.
and gift. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Remember, word order is a little bit fluid.
Gift.
Yeah, exactly right. So the bread of God is from heaven. And here's where word order gets a little fluid. In English, we would probably put this estin right here, and is a gift to the world from God. So, and a gift is, if I were literally using the Greek word order, it would read, the bread from God, the bread of God is from heaven, and a gift is to the world from God. But in English, we'd say, and is a gift to the world from God. Yeah. And why is it to the world? Because this is in the dative. Great. So legusin. So as opposed to lege all the way up here, which was in the third person singular, now we have legusin. And what is that? Third plural. So they say, exactly. Right. So they say auto to him, singular. Right. So this is this dative ending here, singular, to him. And they say to him, the crowd, or you would simply say, and the crowds, like Ken said, that's plural, hoi akloi, and the crowds say to him. Now, this you'd have to look at one of the glosses because you haven't had this form yet. But do you remember what dos was? It's give. It's an imperative telling someone to give. So you haven't received that yet, which is why when you flip to your
Form.
right, yeah, you haven't received that form yet. But if you flip in your reader to page 35, it'll gloss it on the side, and this is just so that you can read it. So, if looking at page 35 in your Jeong reader, das means give, telling someone to give something. So they say das he mean. So what does he mean to us, and how do you know it's plural us? So the ending, yeah, is telling us it's dative. But right here, remember, in this eta beginning, that first letter is always is referring to us. Give to us. Yeah, give to us ton arton to theu, the bread of God. So the crowd says to him, "Give to us the bread of God." And then we've seen this sentence already. Legeo toisa Jesus, and Jesus said to them, "Ego e me," is what? Not just I am, but I myself am. Right, because a me by itself is sufficient to be I am, but we throw ego in front, that first person personal pronoun. I myself am. Ha'artos, ha'artos tes zoes, the bread of life. So what's going on here? Tes zoes. What case is that?
Genitive.
It's genitive, and what's the gender? Yep, feminine. Singular. Yep. No, female. Same thing. So ego e me ha'artos tes zoes. I myself am the bread of life. Hoi hagioi. Yeah. So it's plural. The holy ones. Yeah. So you could either say the saints or the holy ones, right? Because hagios is what kind of word is that? It's an adjective, holy. But how is it being used here? I'm putting the article in front, and we have hoi hagioi, attributive, right? And when I throw this definite article in front of an adjective, and I just use that adjective by itself, it is now, sorry, not attributive, substantive. Yeah, substantive. I'm now turning it into a noun. So I'm saying the holy ones, so the saints, the holy ones, substantive use. So hoi hagioi, the saints, estheusin,
Eat.
they eat, right? Estheo. Estheo means to eat. Ton arton tes zoes. So the holy ones eat the bread of life, hati, because pistuosin eis eme. Because they believe in me, right? Preposition eis. They believe in me. Or, great. So this crowd is walking up to Jesus and they're saying, "We want bread to eat. We're hungry." And Jesus tells them, "I am the bread of life. The holy ones eat the bread of life because they believe in me." So he's saying that this bread that they are perceiving as a physical nourishment, he's telling them the spiritual nourishment that he gives. The dimension of exactly what it means to believe in Jesus is not just to assent to some intellectual truth that now you believe because you have enough information, but he's feeding you, he's nourishing you. This is the significance of calling Jesus the bread of life. Line 16. Who wants to give that a shot?
Sure. Hoi axloi legusen peri actu, huc esten autus ovios tu Joseph.
Yeah. So akloi, the crowds, legusin peri autu. Yeah, they say about him or they say concerning him. Either one works, and it's concerning or about or on account of because of this genitive ending. So they say, so Jesus has said this thing, and now they turn to themselves, and now they're speaking to him about him, concerning him. Uk estin autos hahuius to Yosef. So here's one thing I want to draw your attention to. Notice how the rough breathing mark here is over the second letter. Whenever you have a diphthong beginning a word, and remember diphthongs being combinations of vowels that make a new sound, and you see a rough breathing mark, it's always going to appear over the second letter. So this isn't uhios, it's huios. Rough breathing mark over the second letter. So uk estin autos hohuios to Yosef? Question? Yeah. So is he not, or not is he? But in Greek they'd say it, but in English we say, is he not the son of Joseph? Genoskomen. Yeah, we know ton matera. Yeah, oh, excuse me. Patera. Yeah, not matera. We know the father. Kaitain metera. Autu.
You're
You're right. So we're saying we know the father and the mother of him, or in good English, we know his father and mother. So we know the father, tampatera, kaitain metera, and the mother, autu, so genitive ending there. So we know his father and mother, or we know his father and his mother. Deity. So why? So what does this preposition dia mean? Right here. Through. Through. Dia is through. So when you say deity, you're saying through what? Or why or how or for in what way? So through what? So we could just call that a question in English. Deity lege. Why does he say? Would be another way to understand it. Hemin to dative to us. Yeah, right, exactly. And it's plural, and you know that because this ada. That's how that reflexive territory. So why does he say to us that bread from God is? Yeah. So why doesn't it say he there? Well, it's implied. So he says, why does he say to us that? And so you can, in English, you can put another he is, take this estin, which is implying third person singular, put it here. Why is he saying to us that he is bread from God? And you kind of have to do that in order to make the English sound appealing or make sense. You don't want to say, why he say to us that bread from God is? No, he'd say, why does he say to us that he is bread from God? How can he say that? We know who his father is. We know who his mother is. Verse 20. Ha'akloi ublepusin ton theon.
Crowds don't see.
Yeah. The crowds don't see God. Hati. Because upistusin. Yeah, they don't believe Eston Jezun. Tan artan ektu theou. So the crowds do not see God because they do not believe in Jesus, the bread from God. Good. Any questions on that text? What are some of the difficulties that you've been coming across as you've been trying to work your way through these sentences?
just like syntax sometimes trying to figure out who's doing what to what, kind of thing. Just making sure you understand who's the subject and what's the predicate,
Yeah, when you read the sentences slowly, as we did just now, and you sort of atomize it, that is, you take it apart into pieces and then try and put those pieces together into meaning, it can be clunky and it can be difficult. But after having wrestled through the sentence a little bit and studied it, remember, I have these recordings. It's probably beneficial to go ahead and listen to those recordings over and over again in real time while staring at this text and letting your eyes trace along it and try and invoke an image in your head of this story that's happening. So rather than saying ha Jesus, ha ento ployo, that is the Jesus, the in the boat Jesus, didaske tu sa klus, like that's not how we understand language. We would say, ha Jesus, ha ento ployo didaske tu sa klus, tus perite thalesan peri tu artu ectu uranu. Now, as I just said that right now, that's probably not hitting your eardrum and invoking an image. But if you were to do that over and over and over again, and really just let the text wash over you and form in you an image, then you'll start to intuitively grasp its meaning without struggling through it. Yeah, you'll have to struggle through it as you're learning it, but once you've got the pieces and you've got that grammatical understanding, really strive to, in conversational speed, absorb the text. Yeah, you could, if you're so inclined, you can listen to my recordings while you're driving the car, or while you're running, or whatever. Whatever it is that you do, that you can do two things at once.
I think that's intuitively, I'm getting the tenses and or
The cases.
the cases is what I'm struggling. I
Mhm.
struggle with knowing which case is which. Knowing if it's singular or plural and who's what, like which verbs and adjectives and nouns match, that I
Mhm.
can figure out, but the cases for some reason.
The nominative, genitive, dative,
Yes.
accusative.
And
Yeah.
we've been doing that before, so.
No, that's all right. I didn't really fully grasp them and make use of them at speed until after I had finished an entire course of Greek. Like the only way I could understand it was to stop and take it apart and take my time with it. Yeah. But just continued immersion in the text in the Greek you'll develop an intuitive understanding just by the way it sounds. So every time that a word ends with a iota, like here in this iota subscript here, o or akloi, hoi akloi, that's dative. Like you'll that iota 9 times out of 10 means you're in dative territory. Or let's say you've got a Omicron upsilon. You know, you've seen that so many times. You know that almost all the time that's a genitive, and that's a very common one. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You see that? Oh, oi, oi. And then every time you see a new, what's a new doing? Yeah, new is almost always accusative, unless it's a neuter. Then neuters sometimes that can be a nominative case. Yeah. Das Hemin ton arton. That N really should start to resonate with the meaning of accusative. Ooh should always like signal you to genitive. And you're not going to get an intuitive understanding of that without reading it over and over and over again and hearing it over again. But if you only read the text by atomizing it and going through the chart in your head, it'll take some time to do it.
But like what that means, like what the word genitive is a word that I don't like. I don't know the full meaning of genitive. you
Yeah.
know? Like I have the of a bird, and I'm like,
That's it.
I know,
That's it.
like, so.
My of a bird of something. Yeah. Yeah. There are things that you've covered in the class so far that just kind of keep wading through it, keep sticking with it, and you'll get an understanding, a working understanding many chapters later. Because these cases, we're just going to keep playing with these cases throughout the rest of the book as we've introduced the prepositions. You saw how those cases changed the meaning of the prepositions a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any other advice other than if you'd like, just continue to write through the chart a couple times just so that you know what they are and you can think nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, os, u, o, on, and just continuing to read the text and listening to it and let your non-native Greek ear develop a feeling for it.
Opposite. Look at the main words and I figure out what it says. Now I can pay attention to. And that's good.
Yeah.
Like I would get a big picture. It's like, oh, Jesus is in the boat, so he's teaching, and those are the crowds, and they're around the sea, and they're around the bread of heaven, and then
Yeah.
I probably should pay more attention to that.
Well, you're letting context clues dictate. Yeah, and that's good. So if you've got context clues and you've got the meaning, you'll stitch those together and you'll develop an understanding.
I still have to go back and like those will be vocabulary that I don't know. So I have to spend my time going back and looking at the vocabulary. And by the time I figure out what all the words are, I put it together in a thought that makes sense. So
Yeah, and and that's how. You're vibing it. You're vibing the meaning out. Yeah, rather than translating it the way the authors of the textbook would have originally wanted you to do, which I don't think their approach is the best. I think just continued exposure to the text is the way to go.
And I just need to go back and look at the charts. Do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's going to take 2 more years to finish this whole course, and you'll develop a working understanding by then. Yeah.
In the prep, I was last week. I went back and reread lessons 1 through 5.
Uh-huh.
I was amazed of that,
Yeah. Like this is
it just amazed me.
because you're working on this text right now, and you've got 2 more weeks with this. And in 2 more weeks' time, you may still have some trouble with it. But if you try to go back and read lessons 1 through 5, like Ken, I'm sure that if you go back and read 1 through 5, you're blowing through them right now in a way that you didn't think you'd be able to when you first approached them. This text that we're now working at will fall into that category. And then the next text that we're working on, then that'll be a little bit iffy.
And I thought of, and keep becoming a good idea or bad idea. I thought of, because I'm not doing very good with like what the lesson's trying to teach me, like going and highlighting all of the things that they're trying to teach me in this thing. Would that be helpful or would that be distracting to me?
Yeah, you should know the main thing the main takeaway from the lesson is a good thing to know as you're approaching this. One thing you'll notice going forward in these books as we're working through these stories, if you look at page 33, they have the present indicative of a me listed, and you'll see that appearing in a lot of the chapters this moving forward. That main point that they want you to know is sort of drawn out so that you have it readily at your disposal. But that's a good strategy. Just reviewing quickly, what are the 2 things I'm supposed to take away? So what were the 2 main takeaways from this chapter? Those personal pronouns and a me.
Yep.
The word is to be. Yep. All right, shall we try to do that first one? I know we spent a little bit of time last class on it, but now that you've had a chance to read it, hopefully it's a little bit more approachable, but we'll take our time with it. This is continuing the story of Philemon, Paul, and Onesimus. Do you want me to just kind of read through it quickly and take notes, or does anyone want to give it a shot? All right, buckle up. Lesson 7. Artos ectu uranu, bread from heaven, logos alpha. Paulus kai Philemon, legusin peri tes alethias, kai tes basileas, kai tu huiu tu theu. Who wants to give that a shot? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah. Paul and Philemon are speaking about the truth and the kingdom and the Son of God. Noongar, For now, remember this is now and for, but that's just word order. For now, so why are they speaking? Well, for now, mathetes estin philemon. So what case is this? It's nominative. Remember, it's there's those weird words. So there's mathetes and prophetes, and there's some other ones that you'll get where that's just the way they appear for some reason. For now, a disciple or a student is Philemon. For now, Philemon is a student. Autaskar pistui eston Christon, for he believes in the Christ. He believes in Christ. This, of course, being he, autos, for he believes in Christ. Alu pistuos in he adelphi autu kai ho adelphas, but they don't believe who? The sister, so his sister, and ha adelphas, kai ha adelphas, and brother, right? And this autu right here is applying to he adelphe, kai ha adelphas. So in English we might say his sister and brother. You know, I mean his sister and his brother. We say his sister and brother. But his sister and brother, they don't believe. Philemon de, but, or so, or and Philemon desires, or but Philemon desires, and that word but or and is coming from de. But Philemon desires, thele, didaskein, right, infinitive, or not learn, but to teach, didasco. Yeah. For Philemon, but Philemon desires to teach autus them peri to Christu, about Christ. Akusin deatoi. But do they listen? But do they hear? Remember, but being de. But do they hear? Question mark. Philemon. Nun mathetes emi to Christu. Now I am a student of Christ. I am a disciple of Christ. Nun echo, I have. So now I have zoein, right, life. Meta theu en urano. With God in heaven. Now I have life with God in heaven. Ha adelphos autu. Ti leges. His brother says, so ha adelphos autu, his brother, implied says, Ti leges. What? What you say? What are you saying? Hemes esmen. Esmen. Right. Remember, you're thinking o ace a amen ete use. That sort of amen is manifesting now in esmen. We. So what are you saying? We ourselves are anthropoi Hellenikoi. Greek people or Greek men. Yeah. Uk esmen mathetai tu theou tu palu. We are not, so we are not uk esmen, we are not mathetai, students or disciples, tu theou, tu palu, the God, the of Paul God, the God of Paul. Right, Paul's God. We are not students of Paul's God. He adelphe autu, nai. Yes, nai means yes. His sister says, nai Philemon, ha adelphas su, your brother, su. That's a genitive ending there, u. Your brother, legetein aletheon. Yeah, your brother speaks the truth. All right. Philemon, ala kataton logon. Okay, so we've got this accusative here. What does that mean about kata? Remember, kata markon means what? According to Matthew, not against Matthew. That would be kata marku. Kata markon means according to Matthew. So what he's saying is, but according to ton logon tu theou, but according to the word of God, Hemes esmen. We ourselves are paneroi anthropoi.
Evil people.
Yeah, we are evil, bad, wicked people, right? Hoigartheoi,
Yeah.
for the gods, hemon, genitive plural. For our gods, uk esintheoi, are not gods. Alla erga anthropon, but works of people. Now, why is this alla erga and not al erga? There is no good reason why. It's because it's fluid. It's because the author's preference was not to use it. So remember, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have the printing press. The only way this was transmitted back in the day was people wrote it and sent it around, and someone else received it, and they wrote it and copied it down. So it was language that was a little bit less standardized. It's just the author's preference. It's just what he decided to do. Okay. Al erga anthropon, harahagios theos, but the holy God, haento urano, the holy God, the one in the heavens, but the holy God in heaven, thele sotsein hemas. Yeah, desires to save us. Apotes hamatias, from sin, kaitu thanatu, and death, dietes agapes autu. You could either say through his love or by his love or account of his love. That all works. But the holy God in heaven desires to save us from sin and from death on account of his love. Remember, autu, his, the love of him. Tes, agapes, autu. Haadelphos autu, his brother. Oh, kake anthrope. What is this ending here, this epsilon? It's that rare one that you don't see often, vocative. So he's just speaking to him, calling him by name. Oh, kake. Kakos would be the sort of the lexical form. What's that? Opposite. Bad. Kalos is good. Kakos is bad. Right. Just when I was reading, when I was learning Greek the first time, I just remember kaka is bad. So that's how you remember this. Hakake anthrope. Right. Oh, you bad man. Oh, you wicked man. Ti lege se mean. What are you saying to us? Uk akues hemon. So second person, singular, not. Are you not listening of us? Are you not listening to us? Remember, akuo takes a genitive. You listen of or you hear of something. So he's saying, are you not listening of us? Are you not listening to us? Anthropos Hellenikos esu. You are a Greek man. Yeah. Tis estin Paulos. Who is Paul? Barbaros estin. So interesting history of this word barbaros. So it means what? Barbarian. What's a barbarian? Uncivilized. This word supposedly comes from the way Greek speakers would imitate non-Greek speakers. So when you imitate the way someone speaking a language you don't understand, and you want to imitate what they sound like, you pick a sound and you just sort of repeat that sound. What the Greeks supposedly said when they were making fun of people who didn't speak Greek, they would say bar, 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 bar. And that's how a Germanic speaking person sounded to them, or that's how a Latin speaker sounded to them. And so they called them barbarians. It means a non-Greek. So what do the
I'm saying Paul's a barbarian.
yeah, because he's a non-Greek is what they're saying. He's this uneducated. We are the enlightened Athenians. We have Plato. We have all of the philosophers on our side. We have the great school in Athens. Here comes Paul dishing this pagan god to us. What is this? He's a barbarian, is what they're saying when he calls him a barbarian. Great. So tis estin Paulus. Who is Paul? He's a barbarian. Barbaros estin. Uk estin Paulus ha anthropos ha apo Jerusalem. Uk estin Paulus. Is not Paul a man of Jerusalem, or the man from Jerusalem? Yeah. Isn't he a guy from Jerusalem? They don't worship our Greek gods in Jerusalem. So, lege soi Paulos, logos panerus, kataton theon hemon. Paul speaks to you, soi, so that's dative. Remember, as we're trying to figure out how do we recognize these case endings quickly? Usually, if you see a iota, that's telling you you're in the dative. Lege soi Paulos. Paul says to you, lagus panerus. Wicked words, plural. Us. Wicked words, wicked things. Kata ton theon. Yeah, according to or about our gods. Yeah. According to our gods. He's saying bad things about our gods. Or on account of our gods, according to our gods. So he's not saying bad things about our gods. But remember, so kata markon means what? According to Mark. So kata ton theon hemon means what? According to our gods. Paul is saying wicked things. It's not that Paul is saying wicked things about our gods. It's according to our gods, Paul is saying bad things. Do you see why? Okay. So, great. So, thelo balein, I desire to throw auton, him, apo to oiku hemon. I desire to throw him from our house. Estain erimon.
To the desert.
Into the desert or into the wilderness. Either way. Great. Noon, now, akloi esin. Now a crowd is peri ton Philemona. Now a crowd is around Philemon. Yep. Hode adelphos autou, kai he adelphai legusin autois. So, and his brother adelphos autou, and his brother, and sister, and his sister. So here's an interesting thing. We see Kai here, and we see de here. In the correct context, they both mean and. But the difference is we're beginning the sentence here with de. So we're sort of continuing to roll through this thought and it's sort of saying this is the next thing in the sequence of events, and his brother and sister. But when I'm using Kai here, I'm talking about brother and sister. So it's difficult to explain exactly why Kai is necessary here and de is what we want to see here, other than you're using de to connect thoughts, and Kai is connecting these two objects that are in the sentence, these two articles in the sentence. I'm sorry, I don't have a more appealing explanation than that, but hode adelphos autou kai he adelphai, but his brother and his sister, legusin autois, saying to the crowd. So this is plural, ois. So what could that possibly be saying, referring to? The antecedent is akloi, because that's plural. Now the crowds are around Philemon, and his brother and sister are saying to them, to the crowds, addressing the crowds, hauti that Philemon upistue eis tous theus auton. They're saying to the crowds that Philemon does not believe in the gods of them, in their gods, does not believe in their gods. Auton, genitive, plural, does not believe in their gods. Kai lege, and speaks kata tu Kaiseros. Now, what is, look in Kaiseros here, what is this ending? I don't know, but I know the article is tu. So tu Kaiseros is in genitive. We've got kata. So what's kata plus the genitive? Against, right. So they're whipping up the crowds and they're saying, Philemon does not believe in our gods, and he is speaking against Caesar. Kaiseros. Hota akloi, and the crowds, balusin lithus proston Philemona. Rocks. Yeah. So remember, what is a monolith? It's just one big rock. If you go to Egypt and you see these big tall stones standing up out of the ground, those are monoliths. Mono one, lithos, stone. Lithos means stone. So, but the crowds are throwing rocks or stones pros ton Philemona, towards Philemon. Tide poie Philemon. And what does Philemon do? Homathetes to Christu, the student or the disciple of Christ, blepe eiston uranon, looks into heaven, kai lege. Now, every time you see these italics, that means that the text is lifted directly out of the New Testament. And I've given this to you before, so you might recognize it. Pater hemon, ha en tois uranois. Our Father, hemon, our Father, ha en tois uranois. The one who is in the heavens, right? So this is plural. Ois, ois. We started the class talking about, is it the crowd or is it the crowds? The crowds is plural, the crowd is singular, but the crowds is referring to a crowd. Same thing that's going on here. Pater hemon ha en tois uranois, in the heavens. What we understand there to be one heaven. Our Father who art in heaven. That's how we say it in English. But our Father, the one in the heavens, su estin he basileia. Su, you, or yeah, yours is the kingdom. Kai he dunamis, power. Dunamis, power. That's where the word dynamite comes from. Dynamite means power. Dunamis, power. Kai he doxa, and the glory. Amen. All right. For the sake of the recording, I'm going to stop it.